Okay, we're good. Huh? To estimate. I'll come around. I'll come around.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I got confused. Yeah, it's fine. I mean, we're good. On the last year, for whatever reason, the recommendation, it says, just on like a base sheet or something, I think I pulled from that. That's good. That's why I forget. Thank you.
Marilyn, how you doing? Everything all right? You have 300 what? Okay.
Yeah.
All the other meetings.
Your homeowners association?
Oh, the part of the bus.
Mine is on mute.
For those who think it's right here. We like cake.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So when you don't have, we have to tell nobody, right?
So when he announces this.
All right. All right, they'll have to do it. Try to say something loud. What?
No, but I'm going to hear.
Everyone ready? Gentlemen, we'd like to call to order the regular city commission meeting for August 16th, 2022, 7 p.m. We have roll call, please.
Commissioner Drosky,
Here.
Commissioner Hornet,
Here.
Commissioner Preston,
Here.
Vice Mayor Huda,
Here.
and Mayor Dan.
Here. If we could all stand for the moment of silence and our pledge of allegiance. And while we do our moment of silence, if we could please keep our thoughts. Former Mayor of Boca Raton, Susan Walchel, who's a longtime public servant and an excellent mayor of the city of Boca Raton in the past 2 years. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. You please have approval of our city commission meeting minutes for the regular commission meeting of July 12th, 2022. Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Preston, seconded by Vice Mayor Hudak. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, acknowledgement of our city board meeting minutes, which is our community appearance board meeting for June 8th, 2022.
Motion to approve.
Motion from Commissioner Preston. I'll take that as a second from Commissioner Parnas. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? And approval of our agenda tonight for August 16th, 2022. Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Preston, second by Commissioner Parnas. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay. Madam Clerk.
And every level of public wishing to provide comments from tonight's meeting, you may connect if you connected online using video. Cover the mouse at the bottom of the screen and click the participant tab. On the right, click raise hand and you will be recognized by your profile name. Your audio will be unmuted at that time. For anyone participating via mobile or landline, simply dial *9. You'll be recognized by the last 3 digits of your number. And you may have to dial *6 if necessary to unmute. Thank you.
Thank you very much. For our first item we have is a certificate of recognition for Dave Morantz for his dedication and hard work for the Deerfield Beach Economic Development Council. Dave Morantz has served as the executive director of the Deerfield Beach Economic Development Council for the past 3 years. He helped the EDC get off the ground. He assembled the top-notch leaders from Deerfield Beach's business community and put them together to help launch the implementation of the EDC strategic plan. Dave excelled at forging new professional relationships both inside and outside the city. He made great progress at improving the city's visibility in the greater South Florida region. Thanks to Dave, the city of Deerfield Beach was a centerpiece of the EDC's Regional Economic Summit that brought together representatives from the neighboring cities of Boca Raton and Pompano Beach and brought light to many issues that cross the Palm Beach and Broward County corridors. Dave served on the COAT committee to work with FDOT and represent the city's best interest about the impact of the Southwest 10th Street Sawgrass Expressway connector. His contributions to the EDC have been greatly enhanced the economic development of the city of Deerfield Beach. Mr. Morantz's connections and brought us together to help us forge the relationship that we're going to have moving forward with the Guy Harvey Foundation and with Ron Bergeron and the Sawgrass to Seagrass project that we will have at Sullivan Park. Please join us in thanking Mr. Morantz for the hard work that he did with the EDC. We wish him well in his next chapter. Is Dave here tonight?
No, man.
I don't see him here tonight, but we want to thank Dave Morantz for all his hard work. We have a small accomplishment we want to acknowledge next. Some of you probably know by now, but the Ocean Rescue Department for the city of Deerfield Beach, #1, is the finest ocean rescue department in the entire state of Florida. What we have proven here now with their hard work is not only are they the finest in Florida, they are the finest lifeguards in the Southeast Regional Championships in Stewart Beach, because they represented us, and the ocean rescue team won a total of 18 events at this event. We are extremely proud of our elite lifeguards gaining regional recognition in our ocean rescue department, continuing our beach safety. Will all of our ocean rescue team please stand up? Roman Strominger. Al Kagan. Dan Linehan. Thomas Nolan. Sean Gibson. Anthony Callie. Jillian Kinney. Dylan Arkowicz. All of you, thank you so much. Chief Mike Brown.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commission. It's an honor to be up here. Very blessed and grateful and appreciative to have such a wonderful group of lifeguards working under me and under the city of Deerfield Beach. Brings great honor, and you know, everyone out here is a hero. They protect people's lives each and every day. The stress is out there with the ocean changing at any time. It really brings out the best in them, and for them to be able to leave our city and go represent our city on a bigger stage for the whole Southeast region of the United States, and to come out as successful as they were, I'm ecstatic about it. I couldn't be more proud. It goes to show that they truly are the best. They train each and every day hard for what they do. They take a lot of pride in their job. It's a unique profession, and I'm speechless at this time. I'm very grateful for each and every one.
Next. Thank you so much. Yes, absolutely.
I'd also like to add, this past week, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, they had the United States Life Saving National Championships held in Hermosa Beach, California, and LA. And I could not get chills talking about it right now. Our lifeguards went out there with only a 6-man team. As you know, there's a shortage in our profession, and we tried to send as many as we could. With only 6 guys, Deerfield Beach has our first national championship team. I'm presenting this to you.
On behalf of all. Thank you. National champions, if something Florida State's not gonna see. Mr. City Attorney?
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 3 on tonight's agenda is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Deerfield Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 50 Parks and Recreation of the City Code of Ordinances by creating Section 50-115 Smoking Prohibited, prohibits smoking at public beaches and public parks, providing for codification, severability, conflicts, and an effective date. This is second reading.
Commission, any comments as we open it up? We know what's been discussed. Any comments before I open up to the public? Wait. Okay. I'll go ahead and go first so the public can at least comment if there's anything I say that they disagree with or agree with. The last meeting, I talked about taking a position of maybe having a section of the beach open for smoking. And we talked about how this is it's going to be a very difficult thing no matter what we do to enforce. I think we also talked about the fact that no matter what we do, it's probably going to be wrong. But from what I've read, Pompano Beach is doing exactly what the city manager and the city attorney told us would most likely happen. It's the domino effect. They move forward with having no exemption for smoking on their beach, to a complete no smoking beach. We talked about where this would, if you did put a section that was smoking on our beach, where would you put it? Because of the winds and where it would blow, there's really no parking in the best spot to put it that would not affect anyone. I very much disagree with the positions. While I respect people's opinion on it, I disagree with the position this is taking away a civil liberty. What this is protecting the health and welfare of the general public. And I've changed my mind. I will not support a no smoking or smoking section of the beach. I would look for a complete no smoking section of the beach. So with that, that's my input. I'm gonna go ahead and open to the public. There's anyone from the public who'd like to come up and speak? Right ahead.
Yes. Paula Cook, 62 Centennial Court, and I've written something out. So at the first reading of this ordinance, discussion was about the beach, but this ordinance also covers the park. People act very differently in parks than at the beach. They aren't fighting for limited space next to each other. They spread out. They want to be spread out and enjoy nature. It would make perfect sense to address these two environments differently. Taking the Florida Clean Indoor Air Act that was to protect indoor workplaces and applying it to outdoor parks is an overreach of government, no matter what political party does it. The only outdoor smoking study I could find was done at Stanford University and published in the Journal of the Air and Waste Management Association. I've given that to Commissioner Drotsky, and I sent one to you, Mayor. I can send it to anybody else if they want it. This also was concerned with workplace issues, but one of the conclusions was that 2 meters, approximately 6 feet downwind from the smoker, a person is not likely to experience elevated particulate matter. In a park, people are farther than that away from each other. We have been conditioned to respect people's personal space. You could put up signs in special areas such as bleachers or where people would be close to one another. Special events could make them smoke free if they wanted. There are charcoal grilling platforms in many of the parks. Are you going to ban them? They spew out carbon monoxide, smoke particulates, and hydrocarbons, and do it for a longer time than the average time to smoke a cigarette. Why condone, even encourage one form of smoking, condemn another? You represent Deerfield Beach, even smokers. Why always look to other cities? Why always look to see what other cities are doing? I don't think the smokers in Fort Lauderdale will rush on over to our parks to have a smoke. When the discussion about term limits came up, I recall the claim that extended them would allow this commission to have more of an equal footing. more clout, so to speak, more of a voice in the county. Well, if you never disagree with what every other city is doing, does it matter if you have a voice or not? For all these reasons, I'm asking that you consider removing the public parks from the ordinance. Just give it a chance and see what happens. It isn't the end of the world. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Carol Garner, Century Village. I just want to make a note on the lifeguards.
No, we have to stick right to the item that
Oh.
we're discussing, please.
Okay.
If it's relevant to the, to the discussion about the no smoking beach, you can.
Because of then we have the American flag on. Okay, so what I wanted to say, in 2008 or 2013, I came before the commission and I asked them to have a no smoking beach. And actually, at that time, the board, the commission did allow a no smoking beach. Now, it might have not been able to have been enforced, but we had one, we tried. And actually, it was quite successful. And that's why I'm here tonight, just to let you know a couple of things that were done. But I want to tell you, Lise, if you know from Keith and Richard, she gave me this angel. And this is made from all debris from the beach. The bottle cap is the face and the gown of the angel is cigarette butts. And I keep this on my refrigerator all these years. I wanted it on 7 and 8 and 9, and Commissioner Miller wanted it on 7 and 8, where the north bathroom house is, and that's where it was put. And also on the doors to the bathroom, it said no smoking, which he had done. And we had one sign, I have a picture if you want to see it, but it was there. And all I can say is I had no problem whatsoever when I went over to people and very nicely told them that this is a no smoking beach, you may not be aware of it. And if you remember, Mayor, at that time, we were giving out little boxes, butt boxes. And I think it's because the people from the restaurants who wanted to smoke came outside, smoked, and put their cigarette butt down there. And I was given a whole bunch, and I would give one to the people on the beach, and they absolutely loved it. They were thrilled with this little butt box, and I would just say, please, the next time you come, go over here or go on this side of the beach. And there was absolutely no problem. I went to the beach today. I don't know, something told me to go, and Venice Beach was just not there anymore. There's no sign except for the one that says, don't do this, don't do this, don't do that, and please don't smoke. Also, what I wanted to say, as far as signs, I always felt that putting a sign right behind the meters, where people had to put money in the meters to go to the beach, and right there to have a little thing right above it that said no smoking, would be a very good way for people to realize they shouldn't be smoking at those particular beaches. Unfortunately, it didn't happen at that time, and I certainly hope it'll happen at this time. And thank you for considering it. And
Are you in support of the no smoking beach?
I was in support of it in
I just want to make sure you
2008.
said a lot about telling me exactly what you want. So you don't want a smoking section, you want a complete no smoking beach, is that correct?
It's going to be easier to maintain, and everybody would know. At that time in 2008, I felt they should have a section, we should have a section, but if it's for the health of all people, whether they like it or not, smoking is just awful, and secondhand smoke is even worse.
Thank you.
So yes, no smoking
Thank you very
everywhere.
much.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
My name is Daniel Chinetsky. I live at 34 Kesworth B, Deerfield Beach, 33442. First, I just want to address what the mayor said about whether or not to have a smoking section, and now he says there shouldn't be a smoking section at the beach. And I agree with that. It reminds me of what comedian George Carlin used to say about having a smoking section. He said a smoking section is like having a no peeing section in the pool. It doesn't really make sense. So that's something to think about. I'm in favor of this ordinance that rids Deerfield Beach of cigarette plastic filtered butts. They're non-biodegradable. And I also want to commend that the state is giving home rule to the city to make some choices on an important matter. Now, I am in favor of this ordinance for two main reasons: health, environment, and economics. In terms of health, the nonprofit Ocean Conservancy said cigarette butts with plastic filters is one of the most harmful plastics to marine life. The cigarette butts plastic fibers erode into tightly packed plastic fibers that erode into smaller bits. Now, animals like seabirds, turtles, marine mammals, they pick up these tightly packed plastic bits. It goes into the ocean. The fish digest these plastic bits. The fish becomes sick, and guess who eats the fish? Human beings. So this directly, not only secondhand smoke, but this also could directly affect human beings by their eating these sick fish because of these plastic bits. I just want to also bring out, according to the volunteercleanup.org, it's a website, they're referring to plastic. They're saying it's toxic to marine environment. And if we continue the way we're going with no action at all, by 2050, there will be more plastic in the ocean than fish by weight. Now that's very scary. That's something we can't leave our children and grandchildren. So in terms of economics, there are website tourism sites like Dr. Beach. It's very popular. What Dr. Beach does, they give points to beaches all over the country and the world. And they're saying that beaches that ban cigarettes, when they're evaluating these beaches, have a higher score than states that don't ban cigarettes. It's like a scoreboard for top beaches every year. Now, Florida, I don't know if you know this, is lagging behind the state beaches of Hawaii, who don't allow cigarettes on their beaches. Hawaii is cigarette free. So, economically, it definitely affects us as well. Can I just have another minute?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. I also want to say that Miami City Code violations, the city of Miami is giving a maximum fine of $500 and up to 60 days in jail. That puts a little bit more meat in, penalizing. I also want to bring out that this ordinance, does not apply to private beach property owners or their authorized guests while on their properties. I know in Deerfield Beach, I think, and I may be wrong, there are at least 2 areas on the beach that are private. There's one that's owned, I think, by the hotel that, the public can't go on, and also by one of the condos. So maybe this is something that we could maybe add as an amendment. But I'm definitely in favor of this ordinance for both health reasons and also the economy. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else in the public? Not seeing any of them. Go ahead and see if I have one online. Let's see one online. I'm here. Where? Oh, here we go. Katie Freitag. There we are. Thank you.
Am I unmuted?
Yes.
I'm sorry, dear. Thank you. Katie Freitag, 418 Southeast 2nd Street, Deerfield Beach, Florida, 33441. I am against this ban of smoking on smoking cigarettes on the beach, as one, because it does not include cigars. And as much as we would like to say cigars, and you can ask a lot of people, smell a lot worse and carry a longer stench than cigarettes. They also last 2 to 3 times longer than an individual cigarette. So they provide for a lot more smoke. I think everybody's complaining that it causes trash on the beach. Well, here's an idea. Let's put better trash receptacles and better butt receptacles on the beach to give people places to put their butts in their trash. There are not nearly enough in the sand people instead say, well, you know what, I'll just leave my trash here. If any of you are out on the beach on July 4th, you'll know what I'm talking about. The tons and tons of trash that were left in the sand, and not just cigarette butts, but bottles, cans, you name it, all in the trash. All that trash left on the beach because we do not provide enough receptacles for people to put their trash away properly. We can't regulate alcohol on the beach. We can't regulate dogs on the beach. Why do we think we're going to be able to regulate cigarettes on the beach? Nobody sits 3 feet away in the sand. It's always at least 10 to 15 feet from the person next to you. Nobody likes to sit right on top of each other. I know somebody mentioned at the last meeting 3 feet apart, and that wasn't correct. Nobody sits 3 feet apart from you, especially if they're going to smoke. Most people that are smokers are a little bit more polite than that and will walk away from any kind of a crowd, even children, to keep the smoke away from them. We have a lot more other important things to enforce and not to create Karens and Kens on the beach. It's nobody's business to come up and tell somebody else that they need to put out their cigarettes. That's going to create more issues, more problems that BSO is going to have to handle in the long run. And I would rather them take care of, speeding on Hillsborough and other places that need to be addressed more importantly than smoking. Thank you.
Gwen Clark Reed.
Gwen Clark Reed, 1430 Southwest 6th Way, Deerfield Beach. Last meeting, when we started talking about this issue, we talked about possibly putting a section of the beach where people who do smoke could go and smoke. I can't see eliminating the smokers off the beach. I think it's going to cause more of a problem than we realize. And I don't think that we need to have a beach where everybody can't go to. So at this time, this ordinance is something that I would not be able to say, yes, I support it. I think that we have to possibly put a trial period on this ordinance if it's passed, and then come back and see, how it worked. I know that we want to enforce some kind of no smoking on the beach. I think that we need to give it a trial period and then come back and revisit this issue. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Representative. Anyone else from the public?
Yeah.
Patricia Lane,
You need to come up to the microphone.
Patricia Lane, 252 Ventnor Ave, Deerfield Beach. I was here last meeting and I told you I disagree with smoking on the beach for the children's sake, not only for the animals' sake, for people. And I do want to say, I've been on the beach where it's been very crowded and people do things. And I just feel you have to try. You just can't say you can't do something. We said we can't go to the moon. We would have never went to the moon. So why say you can't do something until you try? And what's good for the people is good for all of us. And what's good for all of us is good for Deerfield Beach, that people want to come here with their families. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your consideration. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone else from the public? I'm going to close it to the public. Commissioner Parnas.
Thank you. I'm a former smoker, 3 packs a day in my younger days, and now I have COPD. I want the ability to go to the beach and not have somebody sit down 10 feet from me and 4 of them all smoke. I have to move. But isn't the beach as much mine? Why should people be allowed to contribute to my discomfort because they want to smoke? Smoking all the tobacco companies were sued. It causes cancer, it causes COPD, and yet people want a section to allow that only if you can guarantee that smoke won't filter into other people's lungs who don't smoke or who have COPD or other ailments of their lungs. What you're saying is, well, we can't do it for everybody. Nothing is for everybody. But I should be able to go to the beach and put my blanket down and my umbrella up, and then have 3 people 10 feet in each direction, all smokers, making me so uncomfortable I have to leave. Smoking is a health problem. We owe it to our citizens to help protect their health. We owe it to our residents and to all the people that eat the fish that are caught offshore, not to have bellies full of plastic that the fish become unedible. And that is a growing problem. We banned straws for that reason. Anywhere in Deerfield, any restaurant, any store cannot sell plastic straws. We did it to protect our citizens from plastic in fish and other hazards. Smoking is no different. Difficult? Yes, it can be very difficult. But if we don't try, we're saying it's okay for some people, a minority, to jeopardize the majority by getting smoke in their lungs. I am for no smoking at the beach, the same way I am no dogs at the beach, and other things that are detrimental to our citizens' health. This is a health problem. Not I'm against smokers. You smoke in your house, smoke on the street. Don't smoke on my beach. Why? Because you're endangering my health and those around you. Sorry, you don't have that right. So I am for this ordinance to ban smoking in our parks and our beach for the sake of the health of our children, if not our seniors.
Thank you. Mr. Drosky?
Thank you, Mayor. I likewise have not changed my opinion from the last meeting. I do want to clarify a couple of things. I've had an opportunity to do a little more research since the last meeting. And the 2 main reasons that I am in favor of the complete ban are 1, from a litter perspective, and 2, from an environmental perspective. Let's start with the litter perspective. I think all of us up here on the dais and those with staff, whenever we go to the beach cleanups, the number 1 item that we find by far are the are the butts on the beach. I mean, you just go through and you can, your bag can be full with them by the time that you're done. And then I've seen it firsthand, and it is a problem. And you just don't want to be walking on the beach and have these butts, come up between your toes, or have the children pull them out and start playing with them. It is a hazard to our beach. When Pompano Beach passed their complete ban, Commissioner Andrea McGee, and she, mind you, is the beach commissioner for Pompano Beach, said that she is excited from an environmental standpoint because whenever she and volunteers do beach cleanup, cigarette butts are at the top of that list, and the filters do not disintegrate. So that's the quote for her down in Pompano Beach. So obviously they have the exact same experience that we're having here in Deerfield Beach. The second perspective is from the environmental standpoint, as that comment kind of touches on as well. It's interesting, the study from 2007 that was mentioned by the resident is actually pretty good. I read it, but it's from 2007. And the quote that I want to take away from it, I don't want to read a boring journal article to you, but one of the takeaways from the articles, it says, this remember, thinking back in 2007, cities and counties have just started to institute bans on outdoor smoking, such as those for parks and beaches. Imagine that, just starting in 2007. Bans may be supportable because on the drift of smoke coming from inside buildings or from the littering of cigarette butts. Outdoor smoking bans may also serve to discourage smoking behavior in general by making it more difficult for smokers to find a place to light up, or by preventing children from associating smoking with enjoyable outdoor activities. However, the ongoing debate over the appropriateness of outdoor bans from an exposure standpoint suffers from a lack of air monitoring data. So that's from 2007. So it wasn't saying that bans are wrong or they shouldn't be for discouraging it from a children's perspective or from a litter perspective. Those things seem to be appropriate, but they couldn't equate in 2007, smoke from kind of a health standpoint. Let's fast forward now to when this bill was passed in 2022. So I pulled the House of Representatives. This is a House bill. It's House Bill 105. So House of Representatives staff final bill analysis. So when any bill gets passed by the Florida legislature, there's a analysis that's prepared by either the Senate or the House, whichever chamber is their staff, when it comes to the bills that are being passed. And it's 7 pages long. And there's one section that deals with health concerns. And I'm just going to bear with me, please, as I just read this one small paragraph as it relates to health concerns. In 2021, an estimated 15.5% of the adults in Florida were tobacco smokers. Tobacco smoke contains over 7,000 chemicals, including hundreds that are toxic and up to 69 that are known to cause cancer. More than 480,000 deaths annually in the United States are caused by cigarette smoking, with exposure to secondhand smoke causing an estimated 41,000 deaths each year. Secondhand smoke is generally defined as smoke from burning tobacco products or smoke that is exhaled by a tobacco smoker. Exposure to secondhand smoke can, this is where 2007 fast forward to 2022, exposure to secondhand smoke can cause numerous health problems and has been causally linked to cancer and other fatal diseases. And then it cites a journal article, 2 journal articles on that in the footnote. And it says, studies suggest that secondhand smoke in crowded outdoor areas can cause concentrations of air contaminants comparable to those caused by indoor smoking. And the footnote on that cites 2 other journal articles as well, one from 2017 and one actually from March of 2022. So I think there is empirical evidence now that there is an environmental correlation between cigarette smoke and bad health effects, in addition to the litter that it causes. So for those 2 reasons, I would be in favor of the complete ban. Again, it's not going to be perfect. There's going to be an enforcement standpoint. And then I do want to add one other thing too. When looking at the bill, because the resident made a good point, about this falling under the Florida Clean Indoor Air Act. But when you read the actual bill, it amends the title of an entire chapter. So it is amending it from the Florida Clean Indoor Air Act. It is no longer the Florida Clean Indoor Air Act. It is now the Florida Clean Air Act. So it is including the indoor and the outdoor. So that distinction for indoor is no longer made by the legislature. So I think for those reasons, I'd be in support of the total ban. It's going to be difficult enforcing this. Don't get me wrong. We don't want the police out there, in everybody's face every day, saying don't smoke. We don't want to be the smoke police. So there's going to be some educational, curve that we're going to have to go through on this. But I think that's a curve that we're going to have to take. And as far as a trial period, I would be against the trial period. Everything that we do as the commission is a trial period. If it doesn't work, we repeal it. So from that perspective, I think we give this shot. If it needs tweaks, we can make it along the way, but I think the complete ban is the way to go. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Huda?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too am in support of a complete ban. Even, the enforcement is going to be a challenge, but also trying to enforce, well, you can only smoke over here, or you can only smoke over there is also a challenge. The reason for this ordinance is as Commissioner Drosky said, is for the health of our residents as well as the health of our beach. The aquatic animals, we are a nautical destination. That's our crown jewel. And any of you who have been at any of these beach clinics, as Commissioner Drosky said, the number one item is these cigarette butts, and they do not decompose. They're there long after we are. And it's adversely affecting our marine life, and smokers have the ability to adversely affect the children that are around them, the other residents that are around them, as Commissioner Arness said. It is going to be a difficult thing to enforce. I think we all agree, and that was my initial apprehension, because the last thing I want to do is just pass an ordinance to pass an ordinance because it looks good or it sounds good. It's the flavor of the day. But at the end of the day, this is the right thing to do for our beach and for our residents. And that's why I am in full support of a full ban of beach ball. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Preston?
We've talked a lot about enforcement. Is that an issue? Absolutely. That's just something that we have to deal with. And by putting this ban in place, will it totally eradicate smoking on the beach? It will not. But could you then imagine just not doing anything? Understanding that there is a problem and not doing anything about it. If we go on I-95, certain sections, there is a speed limit. That speed limit may say 65, it may say 70. And the fact is that people speed. But because people speed, that would be no reason to say that you shouldn't have a limit on how fast that people should go. And so we are accustomed to dealing with laws that protect the better good for people. And that's really what this is. This is really not about, as my colleague said, just making a ban. This is not about just saying, okay, you know, these guys can smoke over here, let's consider that. This is actually overall for the health of the resident. The ability for people to go to the beach with their kids and enjoy the beach and not be offended by this. So the greater good is that we put this in place so that it will benefit more. It will actually benefit more people than it will hurt. And that's why, and government should always be in a position to always look at its resident and to think about the greater good as it relates to their resident. That's the only reason that decisions ought to be made. This is not about one person, you know, sponsoring this or that and saying that, you know, if we don't do this, you know, because we're going to have problems, then maybe we shouldn't. No, this is for the people who need for us to say, we hear you, we see the problem ourselves. And then the big thing is, it makes sense. It makes perfect sense. And I think this is going to be better, not just for, you know, for just people going to the beach individually. I think families, people can go to the beach with their kids and it won't be as offensive. So as I said last time, I was not in agreement with putting a section on the beach because you're on the beach. The wind changed every 10 minutes, the wind can change. And so it wouldn't have worked.
Thank you, Mr. Preston. Just a few points. I did find a study actually that was from April 2021, and it talked about secondhand smoke in outside areas. And one of the things they talked about in Europe, it's a major problem because there's a lot less restrictions on smoking in Europe than there are, and there's actually a higher prevalence of smoking in Europe, according to this study from what I've read, than they have in the United States. And this is particular to Europe. And they talked about outdoor smoke. And one of the points they made is, as far as making health lifestyle changes, the majority of places where people who are underage smoke is outdoors. Most of them aren't allowed to do it indoors. They're going to go outdoors and do that. So as a way of curbing people from starting to smoke at an earlier age, it's one of the things they suggested there. They also talked about the high concentration, even out in the outdoor areas. When, let's say you have people that have to smoke outside, the ability for secondhand smoke to drift into areas that are both indoor and to the playgrounds, different areas like that. When the numbers that they show is the percentages of the secondhand smoke presence is still extremely high outdoors. Now it's a little different in South Florida because we have our winds are a lot stronger. And it brings us to the point, if we were to do a section where it would be smoking only, where would you put it? And the winds would eventually take that smoke somewhere and you're gonna have a problem. It is naive to think that if we are the only smoking beach in Florida, that that's not gonna attract a high concentration of smokers. I completely disagree with that. And I think it's extraordinarily naive. And we were the only beach to have free parking. I promise you, we would be swamped. We're the only beach sometimes that have had fireworks. We're swamped. When we were the only ones that were open, when others were closed, we were swamped. If we're the only ones with smoke, we will be swamped. And to say we're following, we're not following, we're leading. Pompano beat us to the punch just because of the timing of their commission meeting. We're not following what other cities are doing. We're taking a proactive approach in doing it. To say that we follow is kind of naive to what we do up here. And I encourage you to kind of historically look at what the city of Deerfield Beach does compared to other cities. We're always going to compare and we're always going to try to do things, but it is, in my opinion, not the right thing when you know everybody else is going to follow suit on this and you're already seeing it happen to not do that because it's going to be a problem. I would much rather be ahead of the game than behind the 8 ball when all that changes. There are 4 things really, and one of them is kind of tied together when you look at this issue. It's litter, it's the nuisance of it, it's environmental, and it has to do with health. And really the litter part of it is the environmental part. Yes, cigars being carved out is frustrating. I think the only reason the state of Florida and the governor allowed for this home rule option here is because I will say this, he's extremely strong on the environment. Cigars don't have the filters that are biodegradable. I think that's a big part of the issue. It is extraordinarily, it's a weird suggestion to say, well, maybe we should put more places for people to put their garbage. First off, people don't put cigarette butts in the garbage can. That causes a fire. They don't do that. People are just going to put them out in the sand. So if you want me to litter the beach with ashtrays in order to prevent people to make it convenient for them to walk to put out their cigarette butt, you're really underestimating the laziness of people out there. Sorry. If you're going to highlight the 4th of July as an example that we don't have enough places for garbage and people just leave their garbage there, it's not because there's not enough receptacles. Might be to an extent, they might pile it around there, but there's a lot of people that just don't care. That's reality.
Yeah.
I'm not looking at a Pollyanna approach to this. I'm trying to be realistic. I don't know what planet you all live on, but people they're polite about it. There are a lot of wonderfully polite people. I cannot tell you how many times though, I've sat down at the beach and if someone sits down next to me and they start smoking, you're kind of stuck. You've already set up, they set up, there's nothing stopping them from setting up where they're at. They could be 10 feet away, they could be 5 feet away. You're still gonna smell it. And if the wind's blowing right, it's right in your face. You're not gonna be able to avoid it. So I don't understand that argument on it. I'm not going to litter the beach with receptacles so make it easier for smokers. They're simply just going to put the butt out in the sand. It's the easiest ashtray in the world for them. And it's right there at their fingertips, right in front of them. And people aren't going to walk to dispose of their cigarette butts, unfortunately. The environmental impacts are huge. This has an opportunity to really change things on the beach. I agree that the trial period is not going to work. Well put. Everything we do up here is a trial period, and it would change if we get enough of a backlash, but I think this is the direction that everyone's going in. It is parochial to take the approach to say, well, there are other more important things for us to enforce. We have the ability to walk and chew gum at the same time. We can control speeding and not pull people away from officers from speeding to enforce smoking rules on the beach. That's just a ridiculous argument, in my opinion. And I hear that come up when people say, well, there's better things you guys should be doing. We have the ability to multitask. So I think the ban needs to come into place. I am for a complete ban because I don't think a section is going to work for that. I think this is the right thing for us to do, and it has my full support.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion from Commissioner Drosky, seconded by Commissioner Preston. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, passes unanimously. Thank you.
Item number 4 on tonight's agenda is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Deerfield Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 98 Land Development Regulations of the City Land Development Code by amending Section 98-71 Lot Regulations and Section 98-87 Docking and Mooring Facilities regarding the minimum elevation and lighting requirements for docks and maximum width of seawall caps, providing for codification, severability, conflicts, and an effective date. This is second reading.
Is there anyone from the public who would care to comment on this item? Not seeing anyone, I'm going to close it to the public. Commission.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Parnas, second by Vice Mayor Hudak. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Yeah.
Item number 5 on tonight's agenda is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Deerfield Beach, Florida, amending Section 70-134 charges for water meters, water meter installation, and taps and service lines of Chapter 70 utilities of the City Code of Ordinances, to provide for water meter related deposits and charges to be adopted by resolution and to update the deposit return policy, providing for codification, severability, conflicts, and an effective date. Second reading.
Commission, any comments for open to the public? Okay, not seeing any. Anyone from the public here to comment on this item? Okay, I'm going to go close it to the public. Commission.
Motion to approve?
Oh, there is someone who popped up. I'm sorry. Gwen Clark Reed, please go right ahead. I'll reopen to the public.
Gwen Clark Reed, 1430 Southwest 6th Way, Deerfield Beach. Mayor, I want to know, get a clearer understanding with this ordinance. I see that you are talking about updating consistent with Broward County metered customers. Can someone explain that? What do you mean by that? Under the deposits, where you speak of deposits in the in this whole meter thing?
Okay, is there anything else you'd like to explain on that one?
Yeah, also, if someone would just explain to me or residents how we are going to be affected financially with these upgrades on the meters and exactly how the payments will go forward. Are we going to have to put out monies with this upgrade? Are we going to have to put up another deposit with the upgrades? Just some clarity on that, Mayor, please. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? I'm going to head and close it to the public. Mr. Santucci, you want to?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. David Santucci, City Manager. To address the questions, the deposit was determined by looking at what Broward County does charge for the deposit on meters. The reason why that was chosen was because we have a good portion of our city who is on the Broward County water and wastewater system. So for consistency throughout all of our residents, that deposit structure was chosen. Will this affect an existing resident? The answer is no currently. So we will not be seeking any additional deposits from current customers. This really is for new development or redevelopment that would require an increased size of a water line or water meter. So this has nothing to do with an existing customer. This is for those who need a new meter or a meter upgrade because of a development project. This is the best examples I can give.
Mr. Santucci, is it not true the biggest issue is the cost of the meters is now a lot different than what we've been charging.
The cost of the meters have gone up substantially since the last time this ordinance was amended, which I believe there's 2 amendments, one in 95 and then early 2000. So yes, we're just trying to recoup the cost of the current cost of meters.
But it won't have a financial impact on those with existing.
Correct.
Thank you. Commissioner Johnson?
Thank you. I'll ask the city manager since he's right next to me. There was some, and this is tangentially related to the issue here. There was some discussion at the last meeting regarding the AMI meters regarding the security. And I just want to confirm on the record one last time, Mr. City Manager, that your IT team is completely satisfied that the technology with these meters is sufficient, for security purposes.
Commissioner, the answer is yes, and our IT staff were part of the evaluation process for that and negotiation process for the purposes.
So thank you.
Thank you. Commission?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Parnas, seconded by Vice Mayor Hudak. We have a roll call, please.
Commissioner Drosky,
Yes?
Commissioner Parnas,
Yes.
Commissioner Preston,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Huda,
Yes.
Mayor Dan.
Yes.
Item number 6 is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Deerfield Beach, Florida, approving the water service connection deposit amounts and charges for water meters, water meter installation, taps, and service lines, providing for implementation and effective date.
Is there anyone from the public who care to comment on this item? We close it to the public. Commission?
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Parnas, seconded by Vice Mayor Hudak. Can we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Drosky,
Yes?
Commissioner Parnas,
Yes.
Commissioner Preston,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Huda,
Yes.
and Mayor Dan.
Yes.
Item number 7, tonight's agenda is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Deerfield Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 98 Land Development Regulations, Article 4, Supplementary Regulations by amending Section 98-104, Separation Requirements for Alcoholic Beverage Establishments of the city's Land Development Code to permit package stores and businesses that are not considered alcoholic beverage establishments who wish to sell alcoholic beverages on site to submit applications to the Special Master for a variance subject to conditions from the distance separation requirements, providing for codification, severability conflicts, and an effective date. This is second reading.
Commissioner Drosky?
Thank you, Mayor. You may recall at the discussion of this item at our last commission agenda meeting, I was trying to strike a compromise, if you will, on the issue by suggesting that perhaps we add to this ordinance and the ability for the city to appeal any adverse ruling by the magistrate. I've had opportunity since that meeting to research it on my own and to discuss it with the city manager. And in actuality, that option would basically inadvertently be opening Pandora's box and adding multiple additional layers to the onion that are unnecessary. It would give individuals, certain, their rights, during the appeal process, and it really just overly complicates this particular matter. I think our staff and the magistrate, if there's an issue, that will come out during the hearing process, and so I don't think that this is going to be this is going to open up and become kind of the panacea that we thought it would be. It's all of these, establishments opening in the city. I just don't see that happening. So I am not moving forward with the request to add that additional layer of appellate process, and am in favor of the ordinance as it was originally written.
Is there anyone from the public care to comment on this? Okay, Katie?
Katie Freitag, 418 Southeast Second Street. I had a couple of questions. I was a little confused. I watched the last meeting. I was a little confused as to a few things. for one, just throwing some names out there, Tipsy and Tipsy Nail Salon, as well as Painting with a Twist. They do not sell any alcohol in their establishments. They allow for people to bring their own alcohol in and partake in it in their establishments. That's part of the twist with Painting with a Twist. And please, kids, if you haven't been axe throwing, don't knock it. It's a lot of fun. Even with a beer or two, it is a lot of fun. I think everybody should do it. It's a great time. The axe throwing that I go to is a full kitchen, as well as the bar and the games. It's a full kitchen. It's a great time. But my question is, like, how does this going to affect Costco that sells alcohol and also provides samples within its establishment? How is it going to affect our little local discount liquor stores that give away little samples to promote additional sales within their stores? How is it going to affect locations as Vice Mayor Hudak mentioned at the last meeting, locations that are, not 300 feet from a preschool? Are those locations all grandfathered in? They won't have to do anything at this point. How do we deal with that moving forward? A little clarification would be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Not seeing any, I'm gonna close it to the public. City manager, you or staff respond to those questions.
Yes, Mayor, I have our Director of Planning Development Services, Mr. Power, to address those questions.
Good evening, I'm Power Director of Planning Development Services. So a few things for clarification. Samples, if you were at a store that gave samples out, that's not a use that's excluded from any of these conversations. So certain stores do those types of things, not impacted by this regulation. Not all nail salons or painting places allow for what's called bottle service by the Alcoholic Beverage Establishment Code. They do some to sell, so it's just a minor issue as far as the technicality, really. But whether or not you sell alcohol or you're allowed to bring alcohol, reality is alcohol is present, so you have to follow this requirement. That's not necessarily the point. It's not how the alcohol is being provided; it's the fact the alcohol is there. So that's the difference. The measure that's important to note about this particular code change and how we're trying to address it is that you're allowing a business to have a right elsewhere in the city, but they were not within 1,000 feet of a church, school, daycare, thing like that. So if you have a similar use you have elsewhere in the city, is it allowed to be in a different location provided that because they're within 1,000 feet. So that's what we're trying to do, is allow that to occur, while allowing that to occur with an additional review. There would be no review if Painting with a Twist comes and sets up shop in the plaza where they're not within 1,000 feet of a school or place of worship, right? But when they are, and then they're asking for alcohol sales, then staff provides that full review to determine if that will actually be a problem. And then the special master is the one who will make that decision. So the applicant has the opportunity to ask for this. Doesn't mean they're going to, doesn't mean we're going to give it to them right away.
So it's a case-by-case situation if we look for approval, because the way it currently is now, it's an absolute ban. Right. So this gives a case-by-case approval process to allow for that within our code.
Right.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Very much. Appreciate it. But Vice Mayor Hudak, and then Commissioner Preston. And then of course.
So I have a question for you, Mr. Power. So let's just say I have bought, how much do I pay to own a liquor license?
Well, it depends on the size of your bar.
Right.
It could be tens of thousands of dollars.
Tens of thousands of dollars. And now we're going to allow an established down the street to take my customers and not pay for a liquor license.
No, that's paper liquor license.
Okay.
They do, but it's a different liquor license. That could cost them maybe $1,000.
To just reiterate the point here, it allows for it right now. The only thing that we're allowing for is the exception that within 1,000 yards of a school or a house of worship, you're not allowed to. If it was anywhere else, you could do it, but just, it allows for us to look on a case-by-case basis who's someone who happens to be 1,000 feet from a house of worship or a school to be considered for potentially being allowed to do that. We're not changing the rules, we're not making someone else do it, we're not competing with bars. That all exists now. The only thing we're doing is allowing for a case-by-case exception within those 1,000-yard scenarios.
That's correct.
Thank you. Commissioner Preston.
Yes. You said that if there was that exception, it gives staff a chance to review it. What's the process of that review?
There's an application process for variance. So the applicant submits a variance application to the department for review. There are 7 different questions that have to be asked, in which the applicant, proves that the variance is necessary, that there's no special conditions, nothing that's given to them that wouldn't be given to someone else, that there's any special circumstances that should allow this to occur. So it's a detailed application they have to fill out, and they provide, it also allows for staff to ask for any additional information that may be necessary.
Thank you. I will say this, the questions that have been asked are by, us sitting up here in the general public. Sometimes the legalese for these things overtly complicates it, and there's usually a simple explanation. I'm going to encourage staff to always try to go for the simple explanation when we're trying to understand it. I know that the city attorney is probably cringing at that thought, but we need at least for simpletons like myself, sometimes we need this broken down. But not even simpletons, legalese overly complicates it. It makes it hard to understand. So I think it's a service, it's a disservice to the residents when we have something that we don't have like a simple breakdown for really get this done. So you did a pretty good job of explaining it, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mayor, if I may, I just wanted to point out for the record that the 1,000 feet distance, because it's been talked about with just houses of worship and churches, but there's also a 1,000-foot distance separation requirement to another alcoholic beverage establishment. So this also provides for a carve for this. So it's not just
And just to explain, thank you, Anthony. So anyone who is an alcoholic beverage establishment, whether it's a bar or something that serves alcohol, by our very strict definition, is an alcoholic beverage establishment. So you're right, there's 3: schools, places of worship, and other alcoholic beverage establishments.
Thank you. Commission?
Motion to approve.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Parnas?
Yeah, I have a question. Is the law about being 1,000 feet from another establishment or a church or a school a city law or state law?
It's city law, sir.
City. Okay, I just find it a little strange that we don't treat adults as adults. But if that's the law, that's the law.
Thank you, sir. Looking for a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion by Commissioner Preston, seconded by Commissioner Drosky. We have roll call, please.
Commissioner Drosky,
Yes.
Commissioner Parnas,
Yes?
Commissioner Preston,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Huda,
No,
Mayor Vance.
Yes.
We are now at the public comment portion of tonight's meeting. Persons addressing the commission shall state his or her name and address, and may speak for 3 minutes unless extended for 1 additional minute by the mayor. As a reminder, this is the time for public comment on items that are not on tonight's agenda. If you have public comment on an item that is on tonight's agenda, the time to do it is after I read the title into the record. The public comment period is open for that item. No comment shall be made related to the personal life or personal qualities of any person, and no language which would offend persons of ordinary sensibilities shall be permitted.
Yes, sir. Come on up.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Sure. Just your name and address for the record.
My name is John Cano. I live at 4394 Northwest 9th Avenue, number 328, Deerfield Beach, Florida. I'm here tonight with some other owners at our condominium complex. I've been living there for 15 years with my girlfriend, who's owned her condo there for over 30 years. We know the city has already cited our association with some violations, but we need more help than that. I only have a minute or two, so I can't go into great detail, but in a nutshell, our community is a mess. From the condition of it to the finances. Our president's been in charge for 20 years. 20 years. You'd think you would have this place running like a well-oiled machine, and it's far from that. I mean, him and his wife are on the place. They make over $100,000 a year. I mean, special, plus probably let's say other perks. Probably more than you, Mr. Gantz. I believe so, right? We went to the hearing on the 9th about the violations. The president didn't even bother to show up. He didn't comply with the violations. Now we're being fined $100 a day for each violation. When I spoke at the hearing, the magistrate suggested that I might want to reach out to you. He said that wasn't really the place. So we invite you, Mr. Mayor, and it's in Commission 3, so Commissioner Parnas can come out and walk the property with us. Mr. Parnas might not be able to do that with the COPD because of the mold in the place. The carpets haven't been replaced or cleaned in 20 years, so that might not be a good idea. I'm being all serious about that. But at the very least, maybe you can have a chat with us. Our complex is the eyesore of the street. You can't see that just by driving by. Because of the bushes and the trees. You know, I don't want to go and attack people, but our president and his wife sit in the oceanfront condo and drive his Lexuses, while we sit here at squalor. And I mean, it's a couple of weeks ago we had rats in our apartment. They didn't seem to think that was a big emergence. I don't know. I kind of did, and so did my wife, my girl. I'm from Chicago. And I have friends that lived in the Chicago Housing Authority, better known as the projects. They were cleaner than this place. And I have another owner that's told me he's from a third world country. And that the place he lived in there was cleaner than this place. We shouldn't have to be embarrassed for friends and family over their homes. I'm sure they're not in their oceanfront condo. We deserve a clean, safe community for the money we pay. We understand the conventional way, the legal way to get rid of a board, but this is not.
Would you like another minute, sir?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, please, I'm almost done. But this is not a conventional situation. There are probably only a dozen owners that live there. We're probably half of them here. It doesn't, okay? And most owners don't even live in this country and just don't care as long as they're getting around. So we also have so-called investors. I believe one investor was from Columbia and owns 30 units. This is a bit strange considering Roberto or his wife's from Columbia. We need somebody to help us, maybe to let the state know about this. There has to be some loophole that they can step in, because I've tried it falls on deaf ears. We need an advocate. We need somebody to audit the books. We're 359 units at this property. The average association fee is $400. That should be plenty of money to maintain the property. Of course, Mr. Brown will come up with the water bills huge and all this. Well, if 8 to 10 people weren't living in these units, that would help. We don't have security anymore, a car wash area anymore, a barbecue area anymore, bocce bars, sprinklers, not anymore. Now our second pool is being taken away.
Sir, I'm gonna pause you because you've got your full time use, but I have a question for you.
Yes.
Can you finish the last thing that you had to say?
I'm just at yes, I'm just one more minute. Please.
I'm not gonna grant you another minute. I'm gonna ask you to please complete what you're gonna say. If you understand what I'm saying, I'm just trying to bend the rules for you as best I can.
You want me to complete what I was saying? I'm trying to say we're asking for your help. Anything you could do to go out there, take a look at the property. I understand it's a legal issue between, I know you guys don't want to get into other boards, but we don't have a choice. We don't have the numbers. We don't have the owners. They're all over the world. We can't get in contact with them. they can't probably don't even have the time. So I'm just asking your help.
Absolutely, we'll have staff reach out to you
It's
and,
my Heritage Circle condominiums, 4300 Northwest 9th. Thank you.
we have staff.
What was the name of
Thank
that?
you. Sir, one more quick question for you, Mr. Hall. What is the name of your condo again?
Heritage Single Condominium Association
Heritage Single?
Circle.
Circle, Heritage Circle. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else from the public?
Hi, I'm Marilyn Lupano, 2121 Discovery Circle West, Deerfield Beach, Florida, 33442. I'm in Discovery Point. And I have a similar situation to him, I guess. I don't know where to go for help. I wanted to alert to what's going on here. Like if there's a fraud division in Deerfield or something, I don't know. But anyway, it's been like 20 years since our community replaced the roofs, and it is time per the insurance company, so that makes sense. But the association, the president and vice president, they've been in for about 20 years without getting paid, and I think that that's way too long. Term limits or something has messed with their judgment, because they signed a contract without advice of all the homeowners. There's 300 homeowners. They signed a contract for a roofer. The people living in Naples, it's two guys, a man and a son. The man has so many lawsuits against him that they put everything in the son's name. They don't have a warehouse. They don't have a truck. They're just like grifters. And they signed a contract for each of us, 300 units, to pay $8,000 each, which is over $2 million to this, to these grifters. And when they told us about it and we complained, they said, okay, well, we won't tell you about anything else. So the homeowners association got really tight-lipped, and they just keep taking our money. At first, they wanted the whole 8,000 at once. In January, they told us about this. They wanted it in February. Then they agreed to do it in 4 installments. And that they would have the whole job done by September, so that it would be done before hurricane season. Well, they haven't even started any of the jobs. And what they did with some of that money that they collected, because they've got almost all the money now because of the 4 installments, is they took big rolls of roof material and deposited on top of roofs. This was about 3 months ago. All those deposits they've all like flattened out. They've all been ruined by the sun. And they're just sitting up there uninstalled. So I think it's like a hurricane issue at this point. They spent our money on that material, and now it's ruined. And we have not one roof that's been started yet. Oh, the guy, he can't even get a permit. I guess he's tried 9 times to get a permit. I don't know who gives a permit, if it's Deerfield or Broward or what, but they can't.
Second in the minute.
1 quick minute, yeah. So anyway, I just wondered who I could talk to. I believe that, this company is fraudulent, perhaps our association's fraudulent, like everybody's fraudulent, and each of us is paying $8,000, and it looks like we're not gonna get a roof on it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else from the public?
Patricia Lane, 252 Ventnor Ave, Deerfield Beach. I just wanted to ask a question about recycling. They took the recycling away from our complex in Century Village. And I used to go to the firehouse from Caroline. And now that's gone, so I have to go all the way down to your recycling center. And there's days that it's only open to noon time. So it's a little difficult, and I like to recycle because I feel that's important to the environment, like the cigarette butts and everything else. So I don't know where else I could go that may be a little bit more convenient or closer.
Okay, we're gonna answer for it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Ali Abusan, 4384 Northwest 9th Avenue, Deerfield Beach. I live in the same condominium where John lives. We really need help. We really need people from the city to come and just take a look. I will invite you to my house for a coffee or just to come and see what's going on. This guy been in the association for almost 20 years. Before I didn't have kids, didn't have a wife, so just work a lot, go to work, come back, sleep. I didn't care. But right now I have a daughter that she's 4 years old. I'm having a baby on the way. So I really care about the community and I care about where I live, security as well. When you come to your house and you see somebody sleeping in the hallway, this is unacceptable. We pay a lot of money for the association, but we don't see anything in return. When you try to go and talk to the association, they just say, okay, everything is fine. Since 2017, I've been documented everything, pictures, videos, just a lot of things. But we really, really, really need your help, guys. And we need some more force in that community. I mean, it's really, really bad. Really, really bad. I mean, for 3 minutes, I can't show you the pictures or can, speak more. We came here twice or 3 times. We brought 120 or 130 pictures. They have them here in file. I know that the city came out, and they took some pictures and they give the association fines. But at the end of the day, the fines, we will pay the fine. It's not the guy who's running the, association. So just need some help from you guys, just to come and take a look. And you judge. You come and see what's going on. And there's nothing else I could say. We really, really need somebody to come out and just take a look. And thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Yes, sir.
Chris Marino, 1525 Southeast 14th Court. My comments tonight are in response to Commissioner Parnas' rant about his personal beliefs on gun control during our last city commission. A rant that went on so long the mayor needed to stop him. There is never certainty that foreign and domestic adversaries of the American people are not seeking to overthrow or occupy our nation. Just last week, I attended a Florida Board of Medicine meeting in Fort Lauderdale where radical left-wing Antifa activists assembled in mass to support taxpayer funding of gender reassignment surgery for children. These same left-wing activists yelled, "Your kids will be communists." Isoko Yamamoto, commander-in-chief of the Japanese Combined Fleet in World War II, commented that the mainland United States cannot be invaded because there would be an American with a rifle behind every blade of grass. The Night of Broken Glass, an infamous Nazi rampage against Germany's Jews, took place in November 1938. It was preceded by a confiscation of firearms from Jewish victims. November 9th, New York Times reported from Berlin, Berlin police head announces disarming of Jews. On the evening of November 9th, Adolf Hitler's propaganda minister, Joseph Goebbels, and other Nazi chiefs planned the attack. Orders went out to Nazi security forces, similar to left-wing support of Antifa. All Jewish stores are to be destroyed immediately. Jewish synagogues are to be set on fire. The Fuhrer wishes that police does not intervene. Sounds like defunding the police to me. All Jews are to be disarmed. In the event of resistance, they are to be shot immediately. All hell broke loose on November 10th. Nazis smashed, loot, and burned Jewish shops and temples. A headline read, "Remember the mostly peaceful protests that our lying news media sold us in 2020? One of the first legal measures issued was an order by Heinrich Himmler, commander of German police, forbidding Jews to possess any weapons, whatever, and imposed a penalty of 20 years confinement in concentration camps upon every Jew found in possession of a weapon hereafter. Himmler, head of Nazi terror police, would become the architect of the Holocaust, which consumed 6 million Jews. It was self-evident that Jews must be disarmed before the extermination could begin. Remember that the left always wants to paint the right as Nazis and fascists simply because the right puts its own country before others, America first, deflecting attention away from their own ground codes called Antifa. Just remember that the left, the further you lean left, the more you endorse communism and big government, where the further you lean right, you support freedom and small government. Portland's feckless mayor, Ted Wheeler, infamously saw over the dismantling of the city's gun violence reduction team in July of 2020 and went along with the ridiculous anti-police demands and anti-American Marxists and anarchists. But apparently, whatever that strategy was didn't work. He's now seeking $2 million to address the rampant crime and gun violence that has long gripped left-wing run Portland. We will not jeopardize our public safety. May I have one more minute, sir?
Sure.
We will not jeopardize our public safety in exchange for left-wing ideology. We will not defund or impede our police or first responders, and we will never surrender our guns or our rights to defend our nation or our families. Now, it seems that no matter how clear and how frequent the citizens' requests are for keeping our City of Deerfield Beach Commission meetings focused on Deerfield Beach, our city commissioners seem to be unwilling to stop using their microphones to spew divisive left-wing ideology. And I once again request to our city commission end this counterproductive and divisive behavior.
Anyone else in the public? Ms. Freitag?
Katie Freitag, 418 Southeast 2nd Street. In listening to comments from some of these condo associations, it just makes me remember that term limits are bad for business. And I look forward to voting in November to turn the referendum down that would suggest that our city change ours and add additional term limits onto our positions as mayor and commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Close it to the public. Mr. City Attorney, you might be able to give us some direction as far as what we're able to do. I just want to be honest with you, for those of you in this condo situation, both situations, you know, whether it's your condo, Mr. Connell, or the condo that Ms. O'Connell was in also, we have limitations. The city's not going to be able to intervene to act as what you should be doing from a civil standpoint in order to do your rights. There are a lot of things that we can't do. Code enforcement is one. Certainly there's a process we have to go through. Unlicensed contractors is something we can go after very easily. When it comes to the health and welfare, we can step in on certain things. Doing work without a permit, those are things that the city absolutely can step in and do. We have limitations what we can do though. We can't be your judicial arm to come in and get in between a condo association dispute. I just want to be perfectly frank with you. I don't want you to walk away here that we're going to come in and because a lot of people can do that rhetoric. And I'm just being straight up with you. Whatever we can do from within our, and I know the city attorney is probably clinching, trying to figure out what I'm going to say, but I would imagine we have some limitations in what we can do.
No, well said, Mayor. We do not have the authority to remove, board members. There's a state regulatory body, but we do not have that authority. But we do have the authority if they're violating the code in the number of ways that you mentioned. So.
Yeah. If you want, I'm going to give you my cell number. It's on the city website. It's really easy to get a hold of. It's 954-816-1936. I know you got a lot more to say, so please feel free to give me a call and we'll work through the city attorney and the city manager to see what we can do to assist you guys. Okay. But there are limitations. I just want to be perfectly frank with you so you guys know exactly where we stand with that. I'm sorry, as far as recycling goes, maybe the city manager can answer that question. As far as the recycling location next to the fire station?
Yes, we still do have the recycling drop-off receptacles at Fire Station 66. The director of Stanley mentioned that discussion with the resident, and I think we've gotten clarification for that.
Okay, so it is still there. I'm gonna be honest with you, we're still struggling with the same issues we've had for a long time, with recycling in the city of Deerfield Beach or anywhere. The recycling gimmick that everybody wants to do the right thing, so many people are doing it wrong. And we're being held, we're kind of being held hostage by the people that actually take in the recycling, because they say there's no money in it, costs all this money to actually clean it up because we're not doing it right. And it just ends up being a cash cow for others, and we're not environmentally doing what we think we are. This whole blue bin scam that we've been accustomed to over the years, the rules have changed, and it's not the same thing that it used to be. And it's great to feel good about what we're doing from a recycling standpoint. But if you put it in a blue bin or put it in a dumpster somewhere and thinking it's going to be recycled and it ends up in the landfill, you're not doing yourself or the environment any good. So just so you can be aware of that. I do question, I understand trying to keep us on point as far as what we're talking about, things that we actually have affected Deerfield Beach. But I wonder if people will be so upset with the comments that are made up here if they actually agree with them. We were, to try to bring partisan politics on this, that's if they want to do it, go for it. But I don't think that's what we get ourselves too involved with. People have difference of opinion, allow you to express your opinion. People up here get to express their opinion. But I wonder if that argument on being upset at what people are saying is if you actually agree with them, would you be saying the same thing? Ask yourself that question. I'd be curious to know what the answer is to that. But, let's try to stick to the things that we can control here. We can certainly share our opinion. Everyone has a right to do it. You have the right to do it. Come up here and do it. And I'm pretty lenient. We have a 3-minute rule and I allow you 1 extra minute. But this one-upmanship, getting old, but you're allowed to do it. It's fine. I'm going to let you do it. I'm not stopping you. That's all. Everybody. It's one of the advantages of being sitting up here. Run for office and you'll see what happens. Okay, I'm going to make sure I covered everybody. Ms. Freitag, thank you for your comments. And I think that's everything I have. Did I miss anybody? No. Commissioner Hudak, or excuse me, Vice Mayor Hudak, Commissioner Preston.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The one I genuinely feel for the two residents condo associations, the challenge that I see happening. If we have code enforcement violations out there, they're just going to pass those costs off to the residents. So basically, they're the ones that are still getting penalized for the inactivity. There's nothing that we can do as a city, as the mayor stated. I wish there was something we can do, but hopefully, I don't know if there's something that the city manager, where he can direct them, the city attorney. If there's advocacy groups or some place that we can direct them so that they can get some kind of result. Because as the mayor stated, our hands are tied as far as what we can do. Yeah, we can go out there with more code enforcement. What's going to happen is those fees are going to be passed on to the residents. And that doesn't help them at all. So again, I don't know if there's anything, if the city attorney can research it to see where we can always point these individuals to, so they can possibly get some kind of result. Because unfortunately, I know our hands are tied. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Preston.
Yes, I too am very concerned about the residents, taxpayers of the city of Deerfield Beach when they have a problem. One thing I can assure you is that the law is what it is, but we hear you. We will not allow you to bring a problem in front of us, and we not look at that problem, we not analyze that problem, and we not offer whatever we find. Doesn't mean that we're in a position to be able to solve it, because there are other entities that are involved, like code enforcement, those sorts of things that, but the city does not have the ability, this commission does not have the ability to say that here is how we solve it. But we hear you. Every resident that pay taxes in the city of Deerfield Beach should be heard for whatever the problem is, and it deserves the best effort of this city to resolve those problems. So coming out looking actually is a great way to be able to be analytical and to look at it just by putting eyes on it. you might see something that you haven't seen. There are certain things called cold cases. And that means after a case is reviewed after such a period of time, a new thought, something you didn't see that you see now, and maybe this is what needs to happen, because what bothers me is that you have residents in the city of Deerfield Beach that's not happy. That's never good for a city. But I want you all to know you don't have people that sit up here that will ignore you. That's for sure. They will not ignore you. We've had this sort of situation in specifically in my district, and I will tell you, this commission spoke very harshly to the people who were the culprits. I really didn't have to talk that much, and it showed you something that, and I want you all to know that you live in a good city. And these issues that you're having, you can get my phone number. I definitely will come out. I definitely will look at it, and you can rest assured, until you become happy, I'm not happy. So, you know, I will do whatever I can, as the mayor stated. And Vice Mayor Hudak, we're limited as to what the commission can do. But the thing is, by looking at it, by having some idea, we might find the solution, and we're obligated to do that on behalf of the residents.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
the gentleman from District 3, representing either a condo or homeowners association, please call me tomorrow. My number is 954-870-0214. I am the District 3 Commissioner. I will be very happy to meet with you and see how we can help you. Give me a call. I will be happy to set a meeting, as I have with another group I'm meeting with Thursday evening. Feel free to call me anytime tomorrow.
Commissioner Parnas, can you repeat your number again?
Yes, 954-870-0214.
Thank you. Thank you. I've been trying to get a hold of you about your car warranty, Commissioner, so I appreciate you sharing your phone number.
Too late.
We'll get some calls. Commissioner Drosky?
I'd be happy to give out my cell phone number too, but the reason that I turned my mic on is if I could request, I think we're all intrigued as to what's going on. If staff could please put in our packet the backup from code, what's going on with this condominium, I think that would be helpful. Just whatever violations there are, whatever happened at the magistrate meeting, if we can get that back up and read through it and find out what's going on, I think that would help kind of educate me, as to what's going on and what can be done. So I'd request that backup.
Thank you. I agree.
Okay, moving on, City Attorney.
We are now at the consent portion of tonight's agenda. Items 8 through 13 are on consent.
Are there any polls, or first off, is there anyone from the public that wants to speak on either 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, or 13? Just raise your hand. Let's check out one. Eight, 9, 10, 11, 12, or 13. Anyone? We close it to the public then. Commission, is there any polls?
I'd like to pull number 11, please.
Okay. Okay, with that, we can tackle 8, 9, 10, 12, and 13 together.
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion for 8, 9, 10, 12, and 13. We have roll call, please.
Commissioner Drosky,
Yes.
Commissioner Parnas,
Yes.
Commissioner Preston,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hudak,
Yes.
and Mayor Gantz.
Yes.
Item number 11 is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Deerfield Beach, Florida, authorizing submission of a 2022 Bridge Investment Program, Bridge Projects, Grant Application to the Federal Highway Administration for replacement of the Southeast 15th Avenue Bridge, authorizing execution of the grant agreement if awarded to the city, providing for an effective date.
I just want to say that I fully support this and I just wanted to make sure that the city sees, or the residents see how the city is, reaching out to other funding options for the 13th as well as the 15th Avenue bridges. And so it's not just on the city. We are looking at other ways to fund repair and the future replacement of these bridges. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Thank you. Also, this takes into mind a lot of the public hearing comments that we got back going on probably 2 years ago, I would imagine. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much.
Motion approved.
Okay, motion by the Vice Mayor, second by Commissioner Preston. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Juarez,
Yes.
Commissioner Preston.
Yes.
Commissioner Hudak,
Yes.
and Mayor Dan.
Yes.
Okay, we are now on item 14 of tonight's agenda, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Deerfield Beach, Florida, accepting a 10-foot wide water and sewer utility easement, a 10-foot wide right-of-way dedication, and a 10-foot by 10-foot wide utility easement from the Boys and Girls Club of Broward County, Inc., in connection with the 7,280 square foot teen center addition on the 4.24 acre property located at 1227 South Dixie Highway, provided for complex implementation and an effective date. I'll provide a little background on this. Commissioners, you may remember it was about 2 or 3 years ago, you had a site plan before you that you approved for the teen center expansion project over at the gym, for the Moran Boys and Girls Club. You also approved some transfers of easements. As part of the permitting process, when they were in for permitting, staff had requested that they dedicate back certain easements to the city. And this is just to clean up sort of paperwork to accept the easements that were requested by staff.
Okay. Is there anyone from the public that would care to comment on this item? Not seeing any of them closes to the public. Commission. Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Preston, second by Commissioner Parnas. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is there a roll call that you need to do on that one?
No expenditure. Okay, thank you. You're good. Item number 15 on tonight's agenda is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Deerfield Beach, Florida, amending section 50-2 definitions of the City Code of Ordinances to add definitions for dive, diver, underwater breathing apparatus, and vessel exclusion zone, amending section 50-108 recreational activities of park facilities and beaches, and section 50-112 municipal public beach regulations to modify and provide for additional municipal beach regulations, providing for conflict severability, codification, and an effective date. This is first reading.
Mayor, this evening I have our Ocean Rescue Chief, Mr. Brown, to give a brief presentation on what this item entails. I do want to say that the backup has been amended since it was originally posted to modify some language in there specifically related to distances from the pier, providing a 5-yard buffer for no stopping, standing, sitting within 5 yards or underneath the pier moving forward. This is something that we looked at other piers as a best practice, and we made a determination to add that in there for the City Commission's consideration on the first reading as well. So just want to make you aware of that change.
Okay, thank you, Chief Brown.
Good evening. I've been working on, myself and Mr. Soroka have been working on these ordinances for the last couple of years, trying to update some of them. So tonight I'm going to give you, our basic goal was to enhance public safety by making the beach more visitor friendly, establishing defined areas.
Chief, I'm going to pause you for a moment. For the sake of those viewing, can we change the view on our screen, please? So we can actually read the time. Thank you. Sorry, Chief.
No problem. We're trying to enhance our public safety by making our beach more visitor friendly, establishing defined areas for leisurely uses such as swimming and sunbathing, while avoiding any conflicts with recreational areas.
We also needed to identify and address new modern water activities such as kiteboards, water propelled jetpacks, motorized boards, etc., which have been becoming more popular in the recent years. Next slide, please. A summary of our updates, as the attorney stated, we added a section for definitions in which we address diver, dive, underwater breathing apparatus, our vessel exclusion zone to be added to our code. We're also now allowing divers with dive flags to go out past our swimming area. As you know, we've created our vessel exclusion zone to enhance swimmer safety, and we've defined designated recreation areas north of the pier and south of 5. Next slide, please. This one really is best for me to really describe to you what we have done. If you can see first our blue dotted line, that's our current swimming area, which is 50-yard bathing limit. In the past, we have restricted anyone from going out past 50 yards. Under our new updated ordinance, we're allowing divers with dive flags to go beyond this area. And if you can notice some of the dark areas just beyond our swimming zones where some of our natural reefs are. And, Commissioner Vice Mayor Hudak mentioned, we're trying to make this more of a nautical marine destination. So this allows people with the proper, under our guidelines, to go and access our reefs and enjoy themselves. Also, if you can see on the red line, this is our vessel exclusion zone. These are marked with buoys. Just to give you a reference, we did this. We can now enforce any motorized vessels, such as boats, any of the newer apparatus I mentioned. And also this restricts, we decided with kiteboards from entering our area because they travel at such a high speed, it becomes a danger once they enter our swimming area. And lastly, if you see marked in yellow, our beach has become extremely popular and also our crowds have grown. So we need to address the situation. Everyone wants to come to the beach and of course recreate. We wanted to do so, but we also have to keep in mind our beach is only a certain distance wide, especially south of the pier. So we define these areas north of the pier and south of the Lifeguard Tower 5, which we'll mark with a checkered flag. So both are visual for the people to understand. This gives our area just south of the pier, which is one of our most populated areas and has a majority of our cabana rentals, etc. People the ability to traditionally sunbathe without worrying about getting hit in the head with a football, or to be able to swim without worrying about getting run over by a hard board. So we kind of define these areas, simplify them with our new towers, have our ordinances and our rules written up there to just make it a better user-friendly beach altogether. So, if I have any questions from anyone?
From the standpoint of the recreational activity, when you consider about getting hit with the board, surfing, you've obviously picked areas that is the, a compromise between what is the best place to spot on the beach to, yes. What is the best spot to surf on the beach compared to also where the swimmers are?
Correct. And we've also extended that area for recreation. So any hard boards, stand-up paddles, which have become popular, small kayaks, etc., skimboards. And just one note of that, when we fly our red flag, that's high surf, and that's when we don't allow swimmers to really go past their waist. So we're not allowed swimming. At that time, we determined we open our whole beach up for surfing with leashes and boogie boarders with fins. This is like on a basic green flag day, a yellow flag day. We like to have those designated areas because certain people want to go to certain areas for their reasons, of course, and we try to respect that and make everyone happy. So.
Excellent, thank you. Vice President.
Can you put up the PowerPoint one more time, please? And the last page, where we have the so it looks like after north of Tower 1, there's not a lot. I mean, our towers 1 through 9 are spaced out pretty short, but after Tower 1, there seems to be a very large area that is not really monitored by our lifeguards. Can you just expand on that and why we have such a large section?
Yes, sir. Traditionally, this wasn't that very much populated. And one exciting thing I can mention moving forward, we're moving forward with construction of new lifeguard towers. We're going to have a new lifeguard tower put to the north of Tower 1.
So, that's kind of going to cover a lot of area for us. There's still a little gap between ourselves and that new point and county line. But as far as addressing where the most populated parts of the beach are, we're really excited about this. I am personally. So
Thank you very much.
you're welcome.
That's all.
Thank you. Is there anyone from the public that would care to comment on this item? Not seeing any of it. I'm sorry, Katie Freitag, go right ahead.
Katie Freitag, 418 Southeast Second Street. I just want a little bit more clarification, if I could, on kite surfing and where the kite surfers are allowed to go. Normally, they are on the north side of the pier. They tend to stay away from, far north of the volleyball courts and things like that. But in your map, it still is designated as a swim zone. So you're trying to say that kite surfers can't surf our own beaches?
That is correct. At this time, we do not allow any kite boards to launch from our guarded area. We usually instruct them to walk north out of Deerfield. And we were, based on our safety and based on reviews and contacting different organizations with kiteboarding, we felt it's in our best safety for both surfers, swimmers, and everyone in general to keep them out of our area. And now that we have our vessel exclusion zone, which they visually can see, it's kind of a marker for them not to come into our close area of the beach. Because sometimes, even if you're the best kite surfer, when winds are strong enough, it's very hard. And sometimes you may not see a swimmer there. So we're trying to avoid any unnecessarily emergencies from occurring at high speed. So that was determined based off of a lot of review and a lot of discussions.
Thank you, Chief. So kite surfing is allowed, but it's outside of the vehicle restriction.
Yeah, we don't allow anyone to launch or anything from our guarded area. And once they're out, we try to instruct them, please stay out, east of our vessel exclusion zone.
Perfect. Thank you. Anyone else from the public? I'm going to close it to the public. Commission.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Vice Mayor Hudak, seconded by Commissioner Preston. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you, Chief.
Item number 16 is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Deerfield Beach, Florida, ratifying an amendment to the 2021-2024 collective bargaining agreement between the City of Deerfield Beach and Local 1010 District Council 78 of the International Union of Painters and Allied Trades, UPAC, to provide for a cost of living increase effective October 1, 2022, authorizing the city manager to take all actions necessary to implement the amendment and providing for an effective date.
Okay. Is there anyone from the public that would care to comment on this item? Not seeing any, I'm going to close it to the public. Commission. Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Preston, seconded by Commissioner Parnas. Commissioner Drosky, you have a comment?
I do. I mean, I don't think this is simple. Could I have an extra minute, please?
No.
I don't think this is this will be a 5-0 vote, but I don't think it's a simple 5-0 vote, at least not the way that I view it. I mean, it's very difficult because the increases being paid by the taxpayers aren't getting the same increase. And so, but we need to retain the staff that we have. They do a great job. We need to recruit and keep the staff that we have. I mean, every week in my packet, I'm seeing we're losing this person and that person, and they're going to this city and to that city. So there has to be stability. And the only way we're going to be stable is if we compete and be competitive with our sister cities that are poaching our employees. So the increase is necessary from that standpoint, but it also has to be balanced against the people that are paying that increase and the pressure that this is continuing to put on our budget going forward. I mean, we cannot, I said this during the police and the fire, and I'm going to say it with the wages too. These, we're able to absorb it this year because property values went through the roof. And we have the increase in the property taxes that are able to offset these increases. But there's going to come a time and a place where these increases to fire, police, and these wages are going to put too much stress on our budget. And I don't know when that day will come. but it will come. And I'm telling you, it cannot continue this way forever without increasing the millage rate, which I am adamantly against. So there will be cuts one day. Cuts to what? To be determined. But if this continues, there will be cuts one day. But we have to stay competitive in the meantime. And I'll be in favor of it. But I just want to put out there that this is, this is going to be an issue in the future.
Thank you. Commissioner Preston.
Why I appreciate what you're saying, Commissioner. It is always a good thing to look at the dollars and how those dollars fit into a budget. But it's also important that if the citizens of Deerfield Beach enjoy a level of professionalism from their city employees, that comes with consideration. Right now, we have a crisis in this country of teachers. We have nobody to teach our kids because nobody wants to pay the money. So you choose what you get. Look, when that crisis time comes, we need to deal with that in the most educated way that we can and try to bring that relief. But then we could find ourselves in a situation right now that, to me, teachers are so important because they keep you from being ignorant. But because they can't make a living, they're walking away from the school system. So what have we chosen? And what good has it done? Being so conservative, it's really costing us. And not us that already have an education, but those that are pursuing an education. I just was listening to a news report. 300,000 teachers are walking away from the profession because they can't make any money. Nobody wants to give them any money. So in the end, you choose what you get. You don't want to pay people, they're going to keep leaving the city of Deerfield. That's the bottom line. Can you do that and not avoid a financial crisis? No, you can't. There's going to be some sort of, and at that point, we need to make the best decisions that we can so that the public, the residents is benefited, and at the same time, we retain a level of professionalism that everybody has come to expect.
Thank you. I will say this, having the advantage of longevity up here, I've seen it go both ways. I sat here as a private resident 12 plus years ago, arguing with the commission who was giving away 9% compounded raises every year, merit and COLA, regardless of what the performance was, everybody got a 9% raise year after year after year. And this was at the time when the economy was, the housing market was crashing. Got elected, got up here, and we had to lay people off because that's what they did. So there was always an adjustment period when this happens. Your points are absolutely right. So are Commissioner Preston's. I mean, I think I'm somebody who I don't think the unions really like dealing with me because I told them how it is, and we have held our ground. We have taken money away. We've done a lot of things in the years that I've been sitting up here. This is one of the few times that we have a reopener, allow you to go to look at it, because sometimes the rule, most of the times if you apply the same set of rules, they're not always going to work in your favor. While we sit up here, this is the right thing to do. I'm comfortable what this negotiation is. We have stood firm. There have been years where they haven't gotten anything. There have been years where we have held really firm to that. We even did it to the fire department when the fire department's in the city of Deerfield Beach. That's the kind of stuff that we will end up doing. I think after those employees have been here for a while, who have lived through that, like I have, understand that. And I think that's part of the reason why it was a pretty reasonable negotiation this time. But to your point, there's always going to be that time where budgets are going to cause us to take action that people aren't going to like. So this is one that gets to work in this direction. I think it's the right. Vice Mayor Hudak.
Thank you, and I'm going to echo those sentiments. We had a long discussion with regards to where we go with regards to this when the contract was done and the unions wanted to reopen because of the inflation and where it is and where it's going. And it's affecting everybody. It's affecting all of us up here. It's affecting all of our residents. It's affecting our employees as well. This commission has proven time and time again that we are big thinkers and we don't make these decisions in a vacuum. We look at all of the information that we have at hand and make the best decision that we possibly can. This isn't going to happen every year. I agree with Commissioner Drosky, but this is the right time for this to happen due to, like we said earlier, we've got the money and we've got the ability to keep our employees. So this wasn't an easy decision to come by, but it was the right decision and the right time for the right decision. So I would be in favor of this as well.
Thank you. Commissioner Preston?
Yes. Another thing to consider, why Commissioner Hudak's sentiments about Commissioner Drosky's on point, well, you have to be able to think both ways. But what I will tell you, I don't want Deerfield to become a training ground for other cities. And I'm going to tell you, that has happened to a certain extent, because all we have to do is look at the amount of people that we have lost in the last couple of years, and every one of them, they've left and they're going to places where they're making more money. But they figured out the game. They figured out the game. Come to Deerfield, take a little less money, let them train you, and then you sell yourself to somebody else. Is that what we want to be? Do we just want to train people for the next city? There's a lot of things to consider here. And let me tell you, whenever you're dealing with a budget, whether it's in your own home, or whether you sit here as a representative for the people, it's a very difficult decision. But what is the cost when we have to keep training people? What's that cost? Because that's the uncalculated cost of man hours, time spent. And when we look only at dollars and cents, it will only reveal one small picture and one small part of the issue, only one small part. But there's something that's much bigger, and that is all of the time that you have and resources that you pour into a person. Why do we do that? For productivity for the citizens of Deerfield Beach. And we don't get to enjoy that because they say, I'm going to Pompano or Fort Lauderdale or whatever. And we are a part of that in the sense that we are a city in Broward County, and we owe it to our citizens to be competitive and to retain talented people so that they can do the job for our citizens.
Thank you. Okay.
I have
We have
my
a
hand-
motion and a second. I'm sorry,
I have my hand up.
I didn't see it. Okay, go ahead.
We have a very good department, as far as I'm concerned, that negotiates contracts with the unions. There'll always be somebody who wants to pay more money. It's a problem, but it's not devastating. We know that the union tries to get as much as it can for its employees, and management, which is us, try to keep it to a point where we don't go bankrupt. And somewhere in the middle, we come to an agreement where the union says, okay. So yes, you can always throw money at people, but will that solve your problem? And the answer to me is no, because there's always somebody willing to throw a few bucks more. If we run on a city that we have to pay the most, or we're going to lose people, we will soon be bankrupt. I believe in fair. I've been on both sides of the fence. I've been a union worker and I've been in management. And if we don't have faith in our ability to come to a fair agreement that they are happy and we are happy in terms of the city budget, then we have failed. I think we've done a good job in terms of negotiating And when the union feels they've gone as far as they can and they've got something for their workers that they can live with, they agree. Or they don't have to, but they do. I don't think our method is bad. And just throwing money against the wall is never a solution. Because again, there's always somebody willing to throw a few bucks more. And if that's what regulates who stays where, we're all in trouble. All the cities are in trouble. I have faith in our system and what we've been able to accomplish over the last few years. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Drosky,
Yes.
Commissioner Parnas,
Yes.
Commissioner Preston.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Huda,
Yes.
and Mayor Dan.
Yes.
Item number 17 is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Deerfield Beach, Florida, ratifying an amendment to the 2021-2024 collective bargaining agreement between the City of Deerfield Beach and the Professional Managers and Supervisors Association, provide for a cost of living increase effective October 1, 2022, authorizing the city manager to take all actions necessary to implement the amendment and providing for an effective.
Is there anyone from the public that would care to comment on this item? Not seeing any other closing to the public. Commission.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Preston, seconded, I'm going to assume, by Commissioner Parnas.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Drosky,
Yes.
Commissioner Parnas,
Yes.
Commissioner Preston.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Huda,
Yes.
Mayor Dan.
Yes.
We are now at comments by administration and legal. No comments from the city attorney's office tonight.
Just want to give a brief update to the city commission regarding quiet zones here in Broward County. Where we are, the Federal Railway Administration is looking at Broward's quiet zones, and tomorrow I'll be meeting with the MPO. I believe FDOT will be in attendance as well as FRA regarding how to resolve some of the issues that are occurring within Broward County. We are one of the high, we have some of the highest incidents in all the country right now due to the activity on the FEC Railroad. But there seems to be a concerted effort in collaboration amongst these various agencies to include the municipalities along the FEC to see how we may be able to address that. But I just want to let the city commission know and be aware that I'll be attending that tomorrow. And I suspect that there'll be several action items out of that to include some activities or perhaps some modifications to some of the crossings here in Deerfield Beach. That's all.
Thank you.
Okay, we are now on city commission business. The next item is item 18, a resolution of the city commission of the city of Deerfield Beach, Florida, approving the third amendment to the settlement agreement with Broward County for the litigation style City of Sunrise et al. v. Broward County, and providing an effective date. And I'll give a little summary of this one, if that's okay, Mayor and Commissioner.
Please.
Thank you, Mayor. So years ago, actually decades ago, there was something called the Resource Recovery Board, which another number of cities in Broward County were a part of, that included the county. At the end of that 25-year agreement, which provided for direction of municipal solid waste to Resource Recovery Board system facilities, there was an issue about how the assets of the board would be distributed, given that the agreement said it was supposed to be distributed pro rata amongst the cities based on tonnage. And there was a dispute with the county at the end of that 25 years. The county was taking the position that the cities would get nothing. And if I may, as a point of personal privilege, this was actually the very first matter that I had the pleasure of representing the city on in an outside council capacity, and where I met my predecessor, City Attorney Morotis, who preceded me, who is now my partner. As part of that, those negotiations, we did negotiate a fairly favorable settlement for the cities. And in addition to $32 million that was distributed pro rata, it was my pleasure also to bring you probably over a $2 million check as a result of that settlement. There was a property known as Alpha 250 located in Pompano Beach that was supposed to be sold within 1 year of that settlement. But the cities and the county ultimately decided to amend the settlement agreement that maybe it wasn't the best thing to do yet to sell a site that already had land use and zoning entitlements for a potential transfer station, to push off that sale until the cities and the county could get together and determine whether it would be more appropriate for something to happen on that property versus selling it. So amendments were entered into to the settlement agreement that allowed the parties to extend the sale, including 3 additional years as part of that settlement. Well, those 3 years are up. There is now a new working group of cities, and I know Commissioner Drosky has participated in that arrangement. That's working with the county on a sort of a global county-wide basis, looking at solid waste going forward. And so this amendment before you is to further extend that sale while the working group works through the study and the issues that they're working on to determine ultimately what should be done with this site. So sorry for the long explanation. There's a lot of history here. Thank you for the personal privilege.
No, thank you. A lot of personal and painful history. Me as well. City manager? No comments? Okay.
And to be clear, so this further extends the sale and gives the mayor's group that was created amongst that the ability to extend for 3 additional years that sale while the study and the working group does their work.
Okay. Is there anyone from the public who care to comment on this item? I'll close it to the public commission.
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Drosky,
Yes.
Commissioner Parnas,
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Preston,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Huda,
Yes.
Mayor Dan.
Yes.
Item 19 is city manager's annual performance evaluation.
I'm going to ask to see if we could table this for our next agenda. That's all right. I'd like a little bit more time. If commission disagrees, we can move forward, but I would prefer for us to table this until our next meeting.
So you can defer it to the next meeting if you so choose. Under the employment contract, it does ultimately provide September 30th as the ultimate date upon which this needs to be done. So you have 2 meetings left.
Vice Mayor Huda?
I think it's vitally important that we are all comfortable with it, so I have no objection to tabling it until we're comfortable with our evaluations.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Does it require a motion? Mayor?
Yes, and if I can just offer a friendly amendment, just semantics, just if you defer it to the next meeting, if you table it, technically dies, so just defer it to the next.
Let's defer it to the next meeting. That's all right. That's what I'm looking for. Do we need to open to the public?
Was there a motion made yet? Yes, yes.
Okay, is there anyone from the public who would care to comment on this item? No one's going to comment on our deferment. Okay. Close it.
I'd like to make a motion that we defer this item until the next meeting.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Preston, second by Vice Mayor Hudak. I appreciate it. We have roll call, please.
Commissioner Drosky,
Yes.
Commissioner Parnas,
Yes.
Commissioner Preston,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Huda,
Yes.
and Mayor Dan.
Yes.
We are now at comments by mayor and city commission.
Okay. I'm going to start with District 3, Commissioner Parnas.
Well, for all of you that don't know, I was out of action for about 7 weeks. Had a little surgery, went through recovery, but I'm back now. And out in my district doing what I normally do. Today I held a session. People with problems came to see me. We were busy from 9 until after 1 this afternoon, visiting with constituents. Driving at night, I've been advised to wait another week or 2 before doing it due to my surgery. And so I'm on Zoom tonight, but I fully intend to attend all future meetings in person. As far as District 3 is concerned, we are moving right along, doing some pretty good things. I meet with condo groups often, and they have problems. If I can't help them, I can steer them to the right people that can and help them get them resolved. There are several choices that a body in a condo can make or a homeowners association. All I can do is give them their options, and then it's up to them whether or not they want to take action. I do this because I know that it can be difficult to live in an HOA or a condo association where there isn't unity. So I explain to people what their choices are, and then it's up to them to either take action or not. But as a whole, District 3 is doing well, and we will hope to continue to do well. And again, I'm always open to meet with any constituent. Any specific day or time is fine. We can match calendars and get together. So that's what I have for District 3 at this time.
Thank you very much. Let's go with District 2. Thank you, Mayor. I know that all of my colleagues who follow your updates from city of things that are happening in the city that we should be advised of, and PSO keeps us, very well informed. I would like to thank PSO for some of their work recently, some very challenging situations with some very bad people. And when we sit up here, a lot of the time from the ESO perspective, both fire and police, we actually take a lot of things for granted. We take it for granted because we're not bothered by it personally. And I sit in a unique position that you get a chance to see why we're safe. And that is because there is a thought process with that. So I'd like to thank BSO for the effort that they're doing. So many things behind the scenes. A lot of the people in the public don't even know about it, but they're doing a good job. I got a call the other day of it was a tough scene. Somebody got cut, a lot of blood, biohazard, that sort of thing. I called Chief Whitestone and advised her of it. And here's what came later on after the guys came out, cleaned up. I didn't expect this, but people called and said, Commissioner, the fire department did a good job. A little thing like that, to them it was big. See the fire department come out and clean up the area. So I'd like to thank the chief for that, because I got a lot of feedback after that. Even this past Saturday, people were still talking about it. So thank you very much for the great job there. We had the unveiling of Deputy Harold Morrison Place. That was a success. That was really awesome. To see the kids out there, you know that he's missed for something that he started because he cares about kids, putting his kids, steering them in the right direction. I'd like to thank my colleagues because all of the comments that were said that day, you guys did a great job. They were heartfelt with myself. It wasn't that you were just showing up for a political event, and that's what made it nice. Family said that to me as well. Some people in the audience said that, including some elected officials, thought that everybody who spoke said some very good things. So thank you for that. I'm still asking the city manager about this update. I'd like to get an update on Community Day, the Day of Diversity. We weren't able to do it because of COVID. We're past that now. That's a day of diversity, bringing all of the districts together. District 1, District 2, District 3, District 4, and it would be on a rotating basis. So if I could, please give me an update on that. This past Saturday was opening day for the Piper Rattler football team. We won every game. What we did.
I wish we, I wish we had one. I wish we had one every game, but the kids did good. They competed well, and if you had gone over there, you would have found that it would have been very difficult to find a place to park. The program is being revived, it's growing. I like to again thank all of the residents. I'd like to thank this commission for what they're doing. And I want to personally apologize to you guys openly, because I have for each and every one of you, Brandon Powell, Super Bowl champ, he gave me shirts and had at every commission meeting. I forget to bring the bag. So, no, you didn't. So I apologize to all of you. I will get that to you. Brandon Powell did give that to this commission because he felt so strongly about, he came from the Piper Rattlers. James Pierre, who plays for the Pittsburgh Steelers, came from the Piper Rattlers. Devin Singletary came out of the Piper Rattlers. Out of that organization, you have 3 starters in the NFL right now. And he said, give this to the commission. And I have failed to do that, but I will get there to you, and I apologize for that. That's it for me.
Thank you, District 4.
Thank you, Mayor. Today was the first day back to school here in Broward County, and I had the pleasure of being at Quiet Waters Elementary bright and early this morning with Principal Henning welcoming the children back to school. But it wasn't just me there, city staff was there. Captain, your lieutenant, and deputies were there as well. So it was truly a community effort on behalf of BSO, the city of Deerfield Beach, the school board. The kids, were coming back to school and happy to be back. But I think watching the parents dropping their kids off, walking away, were even more happy than the students at school had started today. I think they were all smiles coming out. So it was a good time. It was hot this morning and humid, but it was good to be out there. And I appreciate the city for participating in that and supplying like the pom-poms and the posters. The kids really appreciate that coming back the first day of school. This past weekend was the annual Florida League of Cities Conference that I and Commissioner Hudak, who may mention it as well in his remarks, attended as well. And it's good to have 2 representatives there promoting the city of Deerfield Beach. I will say that next year, Greg Ross, who's the mayor of Cooper City, is in line to take over as president of the Florida League of Cities. And Broward County hasn't had a lot of presidents over the years. I can only think of 2 going back a little ways off the top of my head. So this is a really big deal for Broward County. And I think that the city of Deerfield Beach should support his presidency. It will result in a lot of recognition for us as well, being a part of Broward. So I think we should support Mayor Ross next year, and that the entire commission should attend the Florida League of Cities next year, not just myself, but whoever the voting member is, like Commissioner Hudak this year, or Vice Mayor Hudak rather, but the entire commission should try to attend, as well as pertinent city staff as well. It will be in Orlando next year. It will not be local. It will be in Orlando, but I think we still need to support our local sister cities when possible. And this is a great way to do it. So I have the dates not handy when that is. I can get it to staff to put in your packets when that will be. Actually, Commissioner Hudak, you may have it in the brochure there if you want to look at it. I can keep talking and you can look for it while I'm doing that. The third thing is I will not be having September Saturday office hours this month because that is Labor Day weekend. However, you can reach me at any time. I'll give myself, everyone else gave their cell phone numbers tonight. I'll give mine as well, 954-732-0665. Or my email, tdrosky@deerfield-beach.com. I'm pretty accessible. So feel free, if you have anything, feel free to reach out to me. You don't have to wait to my Saturday office hours. I encourage you to reach out to me at any time. I do respond, so you can do that. And then I also want to thank the city clerk's office for providing the polling information for the elections coming up. I'd asked for that to be in our packet, and it was. And I encourage all of my colleagues, if you haven't, to look at it carefully, because not only have the number of precincts reduced, but the polling places have changed. And each district has lost a polling, or at least had a location change or be removed from prior elections. So District 1 has lost 2 polling locations, District 2 has lost 3, District 1 has lost 3, District 2 has lost 3, District 3 has lost 1, and District 4 has lost 1. So if all districts have lost polling locations in this city. So if you live in District 4, your new polling locations, although it may not necessarily be new, but the new ones as designated by the supervisor elections are Constitution Park, which was there before, Meadows Clubhouse, which is new for District 4, and Quiet Waters Elementary, which remains the same. So 2 remain the same, 1 has changed. So please, if you vote in person, be careful and look at your district, look at your precinct number and your polling location in advance. If you have any questions, or you live in District 4 and you want to know where your new location may be, you can do it through the supervisor elections website, or just reach out to me directly and I will help you find out where you need to vote in person, because it's obviously very important that we exercise our constitutional right to do so. If you have any concerns whatsoever, please feel free to reach out to me and I'd be happy to assist. And with that, I don't have anything further. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Along those lines, early voting has started. I know Oviedo McKeithen Park, we have an early voting site. Is that correct? So the early voting site is in place now for those of you who want to get in early on voting. We encourage you to get out there and exercise that right. I do also want to thank BSO staff. We had a threat on the beach, both bomb, potential shooting threat turned out to be a hoax, but I was very impressed with our city staff as well as our BSO staff, the hard work they did. From fire to police, really an outstanding job, greatly appreciated. And it was nice to see even our public safety department in full gear, as well as Rebecca Medina's team, just to get the information out. There is some frustration with how BSO tends to, you say, okay, what kind of information are we going to release? We negotiate it. We said, not negotiate it. We say, okay, what are we allowed to release? What are we allowed to tell people? What do you want us to put out there? And everybody says, yeah, go. And then BSO does whatever the hell they want, like within like 30 seconds. It's really silly. So, and it's, it's nothing, it's controlled here in this room or by any of our city staff. It's from downtown, but it's very frustrating. I prefer not to have a conversation with Sheriff Tony regarding it, but let's hope that maybe one day that they actually get around to doing that, because it's very frustrating. And I can tell you, those of you who like to live on the internet, listen to people on Facebook, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. I was on scene and sat there and listened to the story change from what I was told here at City Hall by the time I got to the actual scene where our command station was set up. And information changes all the time. Just because somebody thinks they're listening to a police scanner, I sat there and watched in real time people on Facebook just running their mouths on nonsense. Happens all the time. It's not just this incident, but it was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. It causes panic. It causes misinformation, and it interferes with the work that is being done as well. So, if you're relying on some random guy or gal who's using the internet as their way to express themselves, and they're putting out false information, you're not doing yourself a service. You got a question? Call us. Okay. If we're wrong for lying to you, you can call us out here and bust it. But some fool on the internet who doesn't know what they're talking about, if that's your source of news, you got a big problem. And we have a big problem with that. So I prefer that information. People take that with a grain of salt and realize that things are fluid and they do change. But then there's people who put out nonsense. Let's see. I believe that is all that I have. I will say this. I am going to ask BSO with school back in session, with all the speeding problems we have, and I know we're working on trying to curb that. Let's make sure that people, just a reminder for everyone out there, that kids are back in school, slow down, be aware, we have our school zones in place. With school back in session, I think it is something that we need to start taking to the school board once again, to figure out why we, as a city, are paying for our school resource officer at the elementary school level, which we still are, is that correct?
Mayor, we moved to the guardians on the elementary schools, but then we now also have floater, school resource officers that go to the schools and continue that rotation. But we can certainly address, with the, Broward School Board, the issue related to, their underfunding of their responsibility.
Right. And the problem is, just because the school is located in the city of Deerfield Beach does not mean that all of those kids that go there live in Deerfield Beach. So and if you're a city, like Lighthouse Point, I believe, does not have a school in their boundaries, they don't have to pay this extra expense. City of Deerfield Beach does. We do it because it's the right thing to do. But again, to me, it's the responsibility of the school board. And they're, yet again, not doing, in my opinion, what they should be doing as far as making sure we have the resources in place to keep our kids safe. So I would hope that as we're voting, and you're wondering who to vote for when it comes to school board, that you have some conversations with those that are running to see what they feel about your city putting a bill for something that they really should be covering. That's my opinion. That's all I've got. I'm gonna skip you. It's late. Go ahead, sir. My apologies, Vice Mayor.
No, that's quite all right.
Let you wrap it up.
I will wrap it up. How about that? To tag on to Commissioner Drosky's notes with regards to the Florida League City. So we have the legislative conference coming up on November 30th to December 2nd. And then the 2023 FLC conference, which again will be in Orlando, is August 10th through the 12th of 2023. It was a very good conference. It would be nice to get some more support for Deerfield Beach, because it is a way for us to, meet our peers at other cities and to, talk different ideas, because we're all faced with a lot of the similar things, and to see how other cities handle some challenges. It gives us some great insight. And it is a very educational event. There are a lot of education seminars that we can go to as well, just to keep us abreast of all of the situations that have happened in the previous year. So this is my third year going, and it's definitely worthwhile for myself as a commissioner, as well as just the ability for us to promote Deerfield Beach, because that's one of the things that I take near and dear, is to promote in our city. We will have a District 1 meeting on August 25th at 7 p.m. right here in City Hall. So I do encourage all residents of District 1 to come on out. We'll be sending out the agenda very, very shortly. City staff will send it out. I'll put it on my Facebook page as well. Just to talk about things in our district. I love to get individuals' concerns and challenges. As you know, you're my eyes and ears. I only have 2 of each. So I really do appreciate residents who continually, keep me abreast of any challenges that are happening in District 1 that we can go ahead and make sure that we address. As 2 of the members up here stated, it is back to school here in Broward County, starting yesterday. So again, please be careful. I'm sure DSO will be out there and enforcing the speed limits. I do have another quick question about these plexiglass dividers that are up here. How long do we plan on keeping them up here? When we see other commissions, I don't see them up there. I don't know how the commission feels, if they're still comfortable with them, or if it's time to get back to 2019. But I think it's something we have to start thinking about. With that, I'm done.
Thank you. Personally, I don't mind the sneeze guards keeping you guys away from that. Totally okay. That's it. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have motion second. All in favor, say aye.